Hi everyone, welcome back to another SimplePlanes video. And in this video, we'll do a lot of coding. So let's get started. And in continuation of the last video, I have done some off-camera work on the SWL-10's cockpit. I've added a lot of details, and I'm just going to take you through all of them. Firstly, I have redesigned the entire center panel. So, everything is much more detailed, and every single module is, well, it's not really riveted in, it's more like it's detached, but I've added these half hemispheres that look like the heads of the rivets, no, screw heads. They look like screw heads. It just adds a little bit more detail. And I've redesigned a lot of this, and all the COM1, COM2, NAV1, NAV2 radios, as if the avionics switch is off, they will be deactivated. Well, they won't be deactivated. The way it really works is there's a piston here that has them below the four fuselage blocks, so that they're hidden when the avionics switch is off. And when the avionics switch is on, then that piston will extend, pushing the labels up just above the fuselage blocks, showing them. So you can actually change the values when they're deactivated, even though it's not how it really works, but I could probably find a way to make it work, but I might. I'm not going to do that right now, though. And then coming up to the throttles, if I can get focused on them, there we go. I have made the throttles quite smaller, because this is how big they should be. They were really big before. So there were two sets of throttles. The left one is throttle, the right one is mixture. The mixture doesn't work in SimplePlanes because there's no mixture input. I'll just pretend it's set to auto mixture and have some code that makes it move based on how high the altitude is. And the left one is obviously just throttle. And this is the engine dials, engine thrust, engine RPM, and engine fuel flow. The engine thrust and the engine RPM dials are accurate based on the output variables of the four engines, and the engine fuel flow is just based on the input that's sent to the engine, so it's not really accurate. And coming from this panel, there's not much that's changed. All I did was remove the right one so I could keep working on just one, and I've added my rivets. Rivets were also added, the screw heads, not rivets. They were added to the engine dials as well. And this is the Autopilot on what's it called? I think it's called the top panel. I'm not really sure what it is. And like last time, me editing this will put the actual name up. It's amazing how many things I think I know the name of, then I want to go to record the video and I don't know the name of them. And then this over here, it's not showing anything right now, but this shows all the different warnings that will show up if something went wrong in the plane. And yes, this plane is going to have a fully functional autopilot with variable heading inputs, altitude inputs, and vertical speed. There's also the on-off controls, and there's the duplicates on the right side. And on the overhead panel, I haven't really done much. And I can't remember what it was like in the other video. I'm pretty sure I didn't have this. This is the hydraulics panel. And I've moved the hydraulic switches from the engine center panel down there to up here, because it makes more sense. And then we have all the different controls. And I've added some gear and general ones. General doesn't control anything right now, but it's there in case I need it. Then we have the master switch, and there's all these beacon lights that actuate based on what it is. All these labels glow too, so if it's nighttime, they glow, so you can see what you're clicking. And things I will add in between this video and the next video are probably going to be rudder pedals, maybe the seats can move, and I might write some code for the engine auto mixture inputs. And coming out of the cockpit, what else have I added? I'm not sure if I showed this. Actually, what did I add? I don't think I added anything. I might have just made a few edits to the rivets. So let's just show you what I've been also doing, and then we'll get into the coding part of this video. The startup screen hasn't really changed. It's just all the tank pumps. We're not going to start the APU because while the finished aircraft will need the APU running to start the engines, I haven't got around to making that code yet. And if we start the APU, due to a bug in my reporting. Okay, electric need to be on. There we go. Everything's on. And the main two. The APU fire warning comes on. While the APU is not on fire, it's a bug due to how the APU fire reads if there's a fire on the APU or not. Because I can't actually tell if there's a fire on something or not. But I've said that if my input is X and my actual engine RPM is less than Y, then output the APU fire or whatever engine it is fire. It's a bit different than that, but that's the basic concept. And I'll just start up all the engines. I'll turn the APU off for now. And engine alternators, if any of the alternators is on and yet the engine is not running, the engine 1 or engine 2 or whatever it is, alt, will show up in yellow. Because it's not a big issue, but it's something that the pilot should know about. And the hydraulics all need to be on, so I can actually turn the plane. Here we go. And the flaps need to be set to 1, setting 1 of 3, but I'll set them to that. And this is not how you should fly a plane, but I just want to get you into the air because the takeoff is not important yet. And I'm not sure if this has changed since the last episode, but I've changed the timings of the landing gear a bit. So the door is closed as soon as the landing gear goes up. When the landing gear comes down, the gear will immediately start going down. And the main feature of this is the autopilot. So I'm just going to, I'm not going to touch anything. The flaps are up. Right now I'm randomly tapping my WASD keys to fly the plane right. But I'm going to turn on the autopilot master switch. The heading, I'm not going to touch the roll controls anymore, so the plane is doing this by itself. I'll set the altitude to, let's say, I'll do it 3000, and I'll set the vertical speed to 1000. And then I'll flip the altitude switch. Now I'm going to stop pressing all of my movement keys, so this is the airplane flying itself, based on some code that I've written. So as we're approaching a heading of 50, the aircraft is slowly leveling out. And as we're approaching altitude, it hasn't started leveling out yet, but it will soon. At exactly 2,700, so our vertical speed, there it is, it's starting to go down. And this never goes to exactly 50, but it goes to, 49. It goes to a very close spot than 50. So it might as well be 50. And as we're approaching 3,000 feet, it's not going to go to exactly 3,000, it's going to stop just before 3,000, and that's one of the things we're going to fix in this video. And also try and explain how the code works. So the vertical speed is 0 now, and the aircraft is not at 3,000. However, it is pretty close, just 12 feet away. So, and you understand what this means when we start talking about the altitude code. We need to increase the multiplier for how aggressive the aircraft wants to try and get to the target altitude. So I think that is going to be it for now. I'll just pause SimplePlanes, and we're going to go to my desktop. So this is the altitude code, and it's almost done. I'm not sure exactly how far I am, but I'm pretty close. So I'll just go through exactly how it works. So first, we need to calculate exactly how far from the target altitude we are. And to do that, we need a target altitude. And this is calculated based on this module here. And the code I'm talking about is pretty similar for heading. And I'll put a link to the SimplePlanes forum where I post in detail the notepad files I was using to try and calculate this. I will not try and format it nicely, so just a bunch of text with random words here and there. So the target altitude is 3,000 that we've set, and the first thing we need to do is convert that from imperial to metric, because Unity, the game engine that runs SimplePlanes, is in metric, and I like to use SimplePlanes in imperial, which is feet, knots, miles per hour, that sort of stuff. So first we need to calculate how far from the target altitude we are. So the way I did that is I times whatever I had in the altitude value, which is this value in here. I times that by 0.3048 to get the meters equivalent. And then the reason I did minus altitude, this pretty much, first of all, calculates how far I am from the target altitude in meters. It's all meters, remember. And then I use the clamp function to get it between 300 feet below and 300 feet above. And this is the metric equivalent of that, 91.44 meters. So I clamp it between negative that and then positive that. And the reason I did this is to get it back to feet, but I ended up removing this bit. And then, this is all a bit buggy, it's not the correct version, because I was trying to get it to work on pitch angle, not vertical speed, but as my notes here say, well, the vertical speed doesn't climb correctly either. However, vertical speed, if I do it based on vertical speed, then I can add vertical speed here. So let's say I set the altitude, I'll just set this back to 1,000. If I set the altitude something like 4,000, I'll do it at 5,000 so I have more time to show you. If I were to, so right now it's climbing at 1,000 feet per minute. And if I set it to 2,000, the aircraft will automatically keep climbing to get, well, it's going to just below 2,000. However, that's a problem. It's fine now when the aircraft is climbing pretty fast anyway. But when we get to the finer bits, where the aircraft, where the number that tells the aircraft how much it should be climbing, really the vertical speed, starts slowing itself to very close to zero, the aircraft just stops climbing, even when it's below. And I know there is some code that works. This thing is called a Pid Controller. But I tried tuning that earlier and it did not go well. I really don't know how that thing works. And my heading code works fine, so I think I'm just going to go with my own code. So we're getting pretty close, and the reason it's climbing higher than it was before is because we set it to a higher value. So if we set it to something like 20,000 or 10,000, you can see here that it's climbing very close. If I just set it to 10,000, I'll just click it, it's getting very, very close to 5,000. And one thing my code can do is it can work with the ILS code, which I'm going to talk about later, to get the aircraft to land itself. So back to my notepad file, we have our distance from the target altitude code, and using this, we can return how much vertical speed we should have. However, I changed it so it's a vertical speed, of course, so the pitch angle. So if we go to the SWL10's file, these are all the variables that the plane has. It's a lot of variables. What we're interested in is these few variables here: the vertical speed, the ideal vertical speed, and the actual final code. The final code is what takes the rest of the variables and outputs exactly how much the plane's elevators should move to try and get the plane to climb. And this code is not finished yet. It's pretty finished, but it needs a few more tweaks, which we'll go over in this video. So the vertical speed output is pretty much the altitude. And this is exactly the feet per minute. So if I were to just get this code, copy it, and in the debug expression, I would have this code. If I unpause the game, it's oscillating, but if I turn off the altitude, it'll turn off the whole autopilot. You can see that it's a bit different. Oh, I know why. I need to times it by 100 to get the feet per minute. So this is exactly how many feet per minute. So on the vertical speed indicator, this is in feet per minute. So 10 times 100, so 1,000 feet per minute. If I were to just pause it, this is approximately just over 8. And, odd. 826.416 feet per minute. So the rate altitude times 100 is exactly how many feet per minute we are climbing. And back to Notepad, I've left out the 100 because this is actually exactly what I want. And I probably won't do a good job of explaining this, but I'll try my best. So based on this, we can calculate our vertical speed, and we can compare that to the ideal vertical speed, which is here. And what does this number do? I can't remember. Let's have a look. My notes don't say where I got this exact number from, but it tells me what to do with this number. So to get exactly how much vertical speed we want, and this doesn't output the vertical speed we want. It outputs a number which we can compare to the vertical speed to get exactly what we want. So we need to times the distance from target altitude. So this is a number that if I were to times the number by this 0.01 something number, if I were to times 91.44 times by this, I'm just going to do it right now. Get over here. If I were to times, I'm just going to pay, okay, that's my right code from earlier. This times 91.44, this outputs a number that's very close to 1. And I think I times this by, I times this, then my notes say this code tells us exactly how much vertical speed we want from -1 to 1. And we do some math to that number. Yeah, I am not making sense, but we do a bunch of math and it outputs a number the elevators need to try and get the plane to climb at the right number. So this number slowly decreases as we get closer to our target heading. So if we turn on the altitude code, we set 10,000 so the plane will just keep climbing and our speed's going down, and then 10,000 is way too much because my code's not designed to do this. So it's probably not complete, but yes, the plane keeps going up, my plane keeps up-downing. So here we go. So what we want to do is have this, we need to times it from 0 to 30. This is what we're actually going to do in this video. We need to times the code from 10 times as powerful when we're within 50 feet of the target heading. So what we want to do is going from 0 to 10, when we're at -50 feet from the target heading, or 50 feet above, we want to be at a multiplier of 0, and then we want to be at 10 when we're at 0 feet from the target heading. And we have a distance from target heading code, and I'll just get that showing up here as well. Distance from target heading. And I'm going to turn off the autopilot so I can change my altitude. So this number isn't, I just realized this is not the right code, this is the heading. Okay, we want the altitude. Distance from target altitude. And right now it's maxed out at 300 feet, so if I slowly climb 5,000, right? So if I slowly climb to 5,000, I pass through 4,000. Oh, there we go. I'm just going to get to the right number. So below here. So it's slowly decreasing. And I'm just going to do some more quick math. If I times 50 feet by 0.3048, this gets us 15.24. So this is how many meters, remember using metric, from the target heading we want for a number to start increasing. 15.24. I'm just going to write some notes so you guys and me know what this means when I'm looking back at this later. And I'm just going to write some code that we can use, like the activation code. So first of all, the aircraft needs to be within these parameters for the code to actually work. And I'm putting this all in brackets so it doesn't get confused between this particular piece of code and some other code. So clamper 1, this converts a boolean to a number. It also makes it between 0 and 1, not -1 and 1. Clamper 1, distance from target altitude, greater than... Okay, that didn't take that long. I have a number that works. And this is very simple, really. And I know it says negative stuff, and then if I go above 5,000, it keeps increasing like forever. I will fix this with my activation parameters. So I'll just copy this code, minus the debug expression part, jump back over to Notepad, and this is the code that we're going to work. And I'm going to add another boolean value. We also want the distance from target altitude to be less than 0. We can run all of this code, and let's see how it works. And so it seems to be a bit broken right now. I'm not sure why it's a bit broken. I really don't know. So let's just so to fix this issue, then we run just the clamper one or building values by themselves to see exactly what is the issue. Because really, it should be outputting if it's so right now it's 0, 1, 0 again. I'm not sure why that isn't working. I know what the issue is. It's the plus 15.24, because if you have a 0 in an expression, the 0 won't really have an effect of trying to make it just 0. So then what we do is put brackets around this expression. There we go. Much better. So as we climb up, and I'm just going to activate slow motion when I get to the right number, so 950. There we go, it's starting to go up, and then it briefly hits that, and then goes to 0. However, I'm going to have it to be a bit greater than that, so like 1 or something. Actually, this will work because I don't think having it above 5,000 will really matter, because it naturally wants to pitch down. And I guess I could fix all this by just having it trimmed.
One eternity later.
So I have the aircraft trimmed for level flight, mostly level flight, that much. And I'll activate the standard parameters, 2000, and then I'll activate the altitude autopilot. So it climbs, that looks good, and it keeps climbing, and it looks like it's climbing past 1900 correctly. This looks good, and it looks like it's almost, it looks like the trim is definitely helping it out. 1000. And then 9. 2,000 feet. Finally I have the altitude autopilot climbing to the specified feet. So like before, we climb slowly. 1,080, 990, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1,000. And right, and we don't go over. Okay, now what I want to test is how the plane responds to having to decrease. So I'm just going to set the altitude to 500, and we slowly decrease. The vertical speed is slowly leveling out, and we want to start leveling off it around here, here, and we are slowly going down to 500. 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1, and 500 now. Alright, well, I'm not tweaking it any further, it's just taking too long, and I really want to work on the ILS code. So, what I'll do is I'll go and edit this part of the video, I'll see how long it takes, and then I'll see how much we can do with the ILS code. Well, I can't record any more video because I'm over my preferred time limit of 20 minutes. So I'll do the ILS code next week. And that'll be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!